31 Pearls.
Solomon and Saturnus is the generic name given to 4 Old English works, which present a dialogue of riddles between Solomon the king of Israel, and Saturnus, identified in 2 of the poems as a prince of the Chaldeans. On account of earlier editorial tendencies, the 2 poetical works, Solomon and Saturnus I and Solomon and Saturnus II, have often been read as a single, continuous poem. They are considered some of the most enigmatic and difficult poems of the Old English corpus. As with most Old English poetry, the Solomon and Saturnus poems have proven notoriously difficult to date. Solomon and Saturnus. Dialogue 1. Saturnus. Listen. I have tasted of all the books from every land across the sea by means of their knotted letters and the learned arts. Have unlocked Libya and Greece. Likewise, the Libri Historiae of the Indian realm. These expounders of tales have guided me into that great many of books. Thus I never could discover it, in all those olden writings gathered up truly. Nevertheless, I sought which of the mindful and the majestic, of the courageous or the wealthy, or the manly, might be that pater noster palm bedecked. I will give you it all, son of David, prince of Israel. 30 pounds of pure gold, as well as my sons 12. If you would bring me what I have been incited to seek, by these canticles quotation. Christ's cable. Soothe me with the sooth, and I shall fare forwards unharmed. Turn myself at will upon the water's back. Over the river Kabar to seek the Chaldeans. Solomon's reply. He shall be wretched on earth, unavailing of life, wasted of wisdom. Wandering as a beast. A field-traveling cow. Deprived of wit. Who does not know how to praise Christ, by way of the canticles? Wandering. Full of wind. The devil strikes him with iron shot. On doomsday. The dragon, terrifyingly, shamefully. From an ebon sling. They all are grown from the heads of the scornful waves. Then it would be more pleasing to him when all this bright creation is forged from the ground of gold and silver, in the 4 corners of the earth, filled with costly treasures, if he ever could know aught of this blessed song. Then he will be abominable and estranged from the Lord Almighty, much unlike to the angels, turning away alone. Then Saturnus asked, yet, who can most easily, in the count of all creation, brightly open up that holy portal into heaven's realm? Solomon answered, that palm-bedecked pater noster will open up the heavens, and give bliss to the holy, make the measurer merciful, strike down murder, extinguish the devil's flames, yet kindle the Lord's. Likewise, you could, with that bright prayer, warm up the blood, the devil's dreary gore, that ascends from him in drops. Strengthened in blood sweat, in 7 causes, terrifying. Then its brazen grasp, over the grip of gleeds, surges most greedily, on behalf of 12 generations of mankind. Therefore the canticle has, above all Christ's books, the most widely renowned words. He teaches the scriptures, steering the tribes and holding their place, of the realm of heaven, carrying their battle tackle. Saturnus inquired, yet of what sort is that song in the memories, in order to cultivate for those who wish to smelt their spirits against felonies, purify them from sorrows, separate them from the criminals? Indeed, the Shaper gave them a glorious form. Very often in the world my curiosity asks me about this, eager to proceed, confusing my mind. No man knows, no hero under heaven, how my heart has sunk, busy after its books. Sometimes a burning mounts in me, my mind seething anxiously near my heart. Solomon replied, golden is that pronouncement of God, adorned with gemstones, and it has silver leaves. As anyone can, through the grace of the Spirit speak the good news. It shall be wisdom of understanding and honey of the soul, and milk of the mind. Most blessed, of glory deeds. It can rescue those souls from perpetual dark beneath the earth, and never shall the fiend attach them with fetters, into those nether regions. And though he should bind them with 50 chains, it will shatter that skill, and sunder all those cunning ideas. It shall destroy hunger and plunder hell, scatter the welling flame, and timber up glory. It is the more mindful in middle earth, stronger in its foundation than the grip of any stone. It is leech to the lame, a light to the blind. Also it is the door to the deaf, the tongue of the speechless, shield of the sinning, the stronghold of the shaper, bearer across the waves, savior of the people, guardian of the tides, of the miserable fishes, wellspring of worms, wood to wild beasts, and warden of the wasteland, and courtyard to the worthy. And he who wishes to sing eagerly and truly that pronouncement of God, and who wishes to love him always without blemish, he can put that hateful gas to flight, the fighting fiend. If first you bring from above the fearsome prologa prima, Peorth, by name. That warrior holds a long staff, a golden goad, and eternally the strong-minded scourges that gruesome enemy, and pursuing him along his tracks of overweening might, also striking him down. Tear injures him, stabbing him in the tongue, twisting his throat, shattering his jaws. Ao harms him, as he always wants to stand fixed upon every one of his enemies. Then Rad angrily attacks him in his displeasure, prince of all book staves, shaking at once the fiend by his locks, causing flint to burst the shanks of spirits. He never considers the joint of their limbs. He will not be a good leech to them. Then the devil travels under the skies, seeking a battlement, helmeted in shadow. Indeed woe shall come to him in his heart. When hanging he wishes for hell, for that most constricted of homesteads. At that point, the twins of the church shall destroy him, knit and os, together. Either one brings a whip from their way. They shall afflict for a space of time the estranged flesh home, mourning not for the soul. Then, Zegal comes, counselor to angels, staff of glory, snatching the wrathful fiend by the feet, making the cheek fall forward onto the strong stone, scattering his teeth throughout the throng of hell. Each one hides himself through the gloom of shadows. The scather shall be overcome, Satan's thane cut silent completely. Likewise Queerth, and shall humble death itself. Fearsome generals faring forwards against him. They have spears of light, long shafts, stout-hearted scourges. They do not withhold their blows, their grievous stints. The devil is hateful to them. Then is I and Logu, and the angry Ken, shall begird the devil with war. Those crooked staves bearing a bitter terror. They shall subdue at once, the captive of hell who goes backwards. Then Theo and Moan shall press about him from without, the criminal enemy. They have sharp spears, a terrible hail of arrows, they kindle flames in the fiend's hair and strew a bitter terror with deadly shafts. Grimly and severely the slayers shall atone for the fact that they often broke into boasting. Then next, the vaulted Gar quiets him forcibly, who God sends to his friends as a comfort. Deg comes forth afterwards, filled with fivefold power. The third shall be fire. The staff near the street, waiting motionless. Hegel hastens. An angel clothes him, Christ champion in living garments, requesting God's new clothing. Then the twins shall scourge them severely upon the breeze under the horde of stars, with the points of twigs, with silver switches, until their bones gleam, their veins go bleeding. They shall pour out spear rage upon the gluttonous devil. The statement of God can always put to flight the fiends, one and all, the throng of the sinful for the sake of every human, through the mouth of mankind, and can torment swart demons, although they shall never change their forms so wondrously, assuming plumage across their bone coffers. Sometimes they grasp sailors. Sometimes they carry forth in the bodies of serpents, strong and sharp-toothed, stinging animals ambling in the field, carrying off cattle. Sometimes the devil fells a horse in the water, chopping him down with his horns, until the blood of its heart tumbles to the earth, a foaming, flooding bath. Sometimes he manacles an ill-fated man, weighing down his hands. Then he must struggle for his life in a war against a host of the hateful. The devil inscribes upon his weapon a horde of deadly runes, baleful book staves, ensorceling his sword, his glorious blade. Therefore let no man draw forth the weapon's edge too often, without due regard, although its form pleases him well. Yet he must always sing, when he should sweep out his sword, Pater Noster, and pray for that palm tree with bliss, so that he may give them both his soul and hands, when his foe steps forth. And, of Solomon and Saturnus, Dialogue 1. This is a 31 Pearls production, all rights reserved. Please remember to subscribe.